Om Shanti. This is a video from Inner Space in Romford, and there's 5 of us in the room, and we're going to have a chit-chat about the beauty of being an actor on the world stage, because that's how Shakespeare saw this, as a world stage where everyone has their exits and their entrances. And there's a lot more to being an actor, because when you're an actor in the physical world, of course, you want to be a part of the role. You know, you work to dramatise everything and make sure that you're affected to whatever extent by the role that you play, because that's how they get their wages. By being a good actor, they play their role very well. And I guess part of our playing our role very well is understanding that as well, that, you know, people are caught up in their role and they are reacting rather than responding, and the reaction is the knock-on effect to the reaction, because it means that the way they've reacted, when they go away from the scenario that they've reacted to, there's an echo of it still with them. So consequently, it's not just really an angry, reactive moment, it's actually the snowball effect, and the attitude gets affected, their vibrations change, so their vibrations are charged with that echo of the thing that just happened. If they stay quiet, it could be like a pressure cooker effect, whereby they're actually seething inside, so they're not actually blowing and like the proverbial volcano, but they're actually harnessing that negative energy inside, and it's not a healthy energy to harness inside, because it's not actually wielding power. At the best, it's going to, wield power in the sense of they've got to get their power from somewhere, because they feel the situation's disempowering them, controlling them. So they must get their power from somewhere. So they might come home to poor articles like the wives and the children, or the dog, that they might even kick the dog, mightn't they, to get their power back. They need to get control back, and a lot of people get that through sympathy from others, where they feel wronged, and it makes them feel loved and wanted again. And this is all from being a reactivist, a reactionary. Is that a word? A reactivist. You've heard of an activist. Well, this is a reactivist, yeah. And sometimes not just a reactor, a nuclear reactor. Yeah. So you when you actually consider where that's going to go, because it's happening in the present, and how long it stays with them, and what that's doing to the organs of the body, purely by not realising that they're an actor playing a role and other people are playing a role they're meant to play. But it's a tricky one for people to accept that that's the way it should be, and that's the reason why it is the way it should be is that because it is like that. So it should be what it is. It's not should be the way I want it to be, but it should be like that because that's the way the drama is. So there's that acceptance that's not happening for most. We can say that, would that be a fair comment to say that most people on the earth are not accepting things as they are, that they're meant to happen? Because I guess they feel like they would be sitting on their hands in a very non-proactive way, and they're not actually working. Because people always work to get out of the situation, don't they? Whenever there's a problem, they work towards a resolution, and sometimes there isn't a resolution. So what are they going to do with that one? What do people do with things when they can't be resolved? Do they sit and worry? Because that's still a time when they could actually be accepting it for what it is. And they do say it to each other as well, don't they? They say, oh, I just get on with it. But internally, the moods show that. The way people sleep shows whether they're accepting it for what it is. Precisely, without any kind of resistance. If you could actually remove all the resistance to your role and all the resistance to other people's roles and the events, the eventualities and the situations, then you're playing a pretty wonderful actor's role or a hero role. Because the hero is always one that wins in the end, isn't it?
I think if I give you the example of an actor who's acting on the stage, he's been given the script. So while he's playing his script, he has to be that character.
Yes.
So I think that's where people struggle to separate them.
Do you think they want that character removed?
No, they want to be that character.
Oh, they're in that situation where they want them to be. Right, okay.
Because the script has been given to them and they think they have to justify the script and play the role been given to them.
Yeah.
So is there a separation between the actor, the role and the soul?
Yes, yeah. You really, as a soul, you're the one in the middle, because the role's coming from within the soul. So the script that I'm actually speaking right now is written in the soul. So, I haven't got a sort of script that someone's given me that I've learned at any one point in time. I'm actually acting according to a script that's coming, and all my thoughts, all my words and all my actions and all my decisions are coming from the processing of that script. That's already merged in the eternal soul, and it's emerging through the soul's mind, intellect, and into the role that I play. So I've got the role of Andrew inside of me, or the script, but the actual physical form is what's called Andrew, isn't it? So if my name was Tina, then that would be Tina's script, basically, that Tina's playing, but as it's Andrew. So really, the body is only a small part of the role, isn't it? What I do with my decision-making machinery and so on. Long before I became a train driver for 40 years, I was meant to become a train driver. So that was already written. That's why they're able to tell your fortune, isn't it? That this person is going to become, and they face read, and they say that this person will have this type of a marriage, and they can tell because they're actually reading the soul. Basically, they're reading the soul through the eyes, particularly the eyes of the face. And they can tell in the eyes, like these people, I see that when there was a marriage guide or a marriage creator, arranger, and she went to a face reader and showed the pictures to the boy and girl, and she could see by the amount of ego in his eyes that relationship will break down until the eyes change, and because the ego affects the eyes and the whole features. So when all the features change, that face reader may be viewing that in a different way. But until that, he's actually reading the soul by the features, which is probably why we have feature films. Just thought, throw that one in.
So Andy, can you change how you react in your role and how your destiny?
Yes, that's what we're doing, isn't it? Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're the messenger in the middle, really. That's passing the messages that come from the script through our roles that we play externally, and we're the ones in the middle. So there's the role outside that is the name and form of the body that you play, that everyone judges you by, I suppose, how successful you are and how creative you are, and how, I mean, if you've got rotten children, it's not always your fault, is it? It can be that you've got rotten souls in...
So do you actually change the script as you play along, or you play this, you don't touch the script, or you don't change your role, but
Yeah.
you change how you play your role?
Yes,
Is
this
that
is a brilliant question, because what you've got the thing emerging, and with understanding, I'm changing the way it gets processed. So I'm seeing something in a different way, and then that becomes the reprogramming of the script. So you're not actually changing the script that would have come, because you can only deal with one moment to the next. I can't deal with tomorrow today, but I can aid tomorrow's with the power of the now. Basically, I can aid the easiness that I'm able to do something tomorrow by the way my attitude is today. So there's a lot to do with attitude. My attitude towards you has to be extended towards everyone in the same way, come what may. So that's what I've got to recognise, is that if I mould my attitude, then no one else can mould my attitude. If I don't mould my attitude, someone else will mould it for me.
But say if you come across a difficult being and you can't get along with them, you know, most people want to just avoid them.
Yes.
So are you saying that we should just accept that and then
Yeah. But
positive, you know?
you're not, the resistance isn't about that person. The resistance is about me.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm resisting me, and what I've been in the past, I'm resisting that. So that's come in front of me, and the feelings that are coming from the personality traits that I had at that time are being revealed to me. So if I was to resist that, then someone else would. You know, you get a lot of these divorces, and people leave their mums and dads and said, you know, I don't want anything to do with you, and then they go and marry someone like their mum, you know, or their dad, who knows. But they actually recreate it. It gets restored again because it's not being dealt with. So if I have any kind of perplexity with you or some kind of altercation with you, the resistance is not really about you. You did that, but you were the catalyst for the trigger of what was in my personality from my past.
So how do I change that? Because definitely that I can't really find any way to get along with that person. So how do you...
Well, instead of trying to break the rocks, you steer around it, don't you? There are certain things that people say that they shouldn't say, and it triggers that same thing off that I've got inside of me. So it's actually like attracting like, isn't it? If I didn't trigger that and I understand that, then I'm actually moulding that. You know, something that's iron, it can't be moulded. But when it's gold, it can be moulded. So I'm actually removing that contamination by understanding that is, I'm seeing me, I'm resisting me.
Again, it's accepting, isn't it?
It is. It's accepting, but with understanding. Because there's a lot of people that say, I'm not accepting that. And so there's no understanding of why. What are the benefits of... You know, if you get enough benefits on your side, you're going to accept it. But if there's no benefits, well, I've got to accept it, and they're not accepting me. It's fair. It's fair, isn't it? And they just won't... They're compelled by... When there's a lack of understanding, they're just told to do something. You just tell someone to calm down when they're angry, and they get really angry, don't they?
So you mean to say I have to understand that whatever I'm facing through other person around me is actually in me. I have to correct that in me.
I'm reacting to the reflection.
So it's my own reflection I'm seeing in that person.
Yeah. That's why everyone gets tests that are tailor-made for them, because people come in front of them that are like themselves, or like the way that they've acted in the past, because a male doesn't act the same when he's played a male role. He doesn't act the same when he's playing a female role in his next life. So it's actually been suppressed at that time. One's merged and one's emerged. So the female roles now emerge. So all of a sudden they have male chauvinistic people come in front of them, and that's just saying what you see is what you feel. What you feel is what you see. So it's only appearing as a reality check, really.
And you said how to work around that person. How? Can you give an example?
Well, I mean, you wouldn't name and shame people. If someone's got a boil, you don't go and press it. So the very thing that they're sensitive to, that I'm feeling sensitive to, I don't go and try to remove it, tell them how their sensitivity is damaging for everyone, because it's going to make them more sensitive. And then the way I'll react to that is without power, in an insensitive way, and I'll feel I might even choose they had to be told, and that's making me insensitive, that arrogance.
It's scratching a wound or putting a salt on it.
Yeah, it is.
Wound.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah. Someone's someone's regularly spending all their money rather than on the children's food, and the household, and they're spending their money on themselves. There's a much nicer way to say, so you're actually investing in kindness rather than unkindness. But what my thoughts are quite unkind, because my thoughts are ranting. They're taking the food out of the children's mouth. They're not respecting me. They promised this to me, and they're not. So I'm actually investing in unkindness in my thoughts. But I actually can't be myself through thoughts, words and actions until I'm myself. And until I'm myself, then I've got to, they say fake it to make it, but in reality you're just constructing something that is really beautiful, because the thoughts are coming that are quite aggressive, quite ferocious, but I'm actually put it in such a way. And sometimes I might not, because if I sense that I've got a lot of ego, self-righteousness going, then, you don't want to, all you do is trigger their self-righteousness, isn't it? Because like attracts like. So I've got to really be kind to myself more, be kind to my mind. If I'm kind to my mind, because that's where the self-righteousness is, and you're actually dealing with it as a detached observer.
But I think the next challenge will be the patience, isn't it? How long you're going to do this kind of...
Well, it's not them, so as long as it takes, really. Patience, and more patience, that's the key to it, isn't it? And then when all of a sudden, it's not planned and it happens. And I say, well, I just said this thing, and that's because I'm becoming softer inside, and I'm more moldable, rather than going mouldy. I'm more moldable. Because you're actually, the way that it was hard inside, and that's why it was reacting, because it's not moldable, and then all of a sudden I've affected it.
As well, anyway, if you don't.
It becomes brittle, doesn't it? Yeah.
So when the situation comes to us, or situation is presented to us, or even a person who we don't get on very well, like Rashmi was saying. So
I thought you were going to say, like we don't get on like Rashmi, and I thought, oh no, it's all coming out now. But anyway, like Rashmi said, yeah.
So it's God's way to present that to us, because He want to give us another chance to actually rectify that.
Well, yeah, he's not got his finger on the button like that, but it's good in a way that you think that, because it makes you remember God. Yes. And any time a person can remember God can only be a good thing.
And
anyway.
Unless we change it, it's going to keep on coming in a different form, or a different person, or different scenario.
But the point really is, Andrew, that I created my drama
Yeah, no,
Yeah, it wasn't God. I mean, it agreed he would show me the best way to deal with it. And that's not a bad idea, let go and let God. How would
Yes.
God deal with it? Because you're talking about love, kindness and that kind of thing. But in reality, I create every single thing that is in front of me right now, and every single thing that affects me right now is my own creation. So it's coming back to me to be resolved. When I put it out there, I did it in a state of ignorance, so there's no self-blame
Yeah.
either. Because you only do what you do because you feel it's the right thing. I mean, no one that I know, and that's the thing, is the people that you know that will do things in a premeditated, harmful way, you won't be rubbing shoulders with them. They won't be in your general. These are people that are hurt. These are people that are suffering, that are like the animal that's wounded and cornered. How they act in a vicious way, don't they? They're trying to protect themselves, and that's how they act until they get enough love. And people do say, oh, well, I love my children. No one loves my children more than me. They get so much from me, but they don't love them the way God loves. They love them in a way that is conditional as well. And they say they still don't change. Well, then your expectation needs to be countered with a lot more patience, doesn't it? Your expectation is always rushing a result. And you need a tremendous amount of patience. And patience is your blessing, really. If you've got patience, then you can alter anyone who comes in front of you because you're altering yourself. And while you're altering yourself, you're having an effect on what's in them underneath what they're showing. That's the amazing thing, that all souls are intrinsically good. So when you actually show that level of patience and that level of love, like we associate with God, they can't help but change because they get affected. And when someone gets affected, it shows in their face. The ego can't actually make them say to themselves at that moment, no, they're not going to get to me, they're not going to win. Love always works. But it has to be filled with a lot of more patience rather than expectation rushing the result, isn't it?
Patience and kindness as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And you get that.
Always try to change others, isn't it?
Other way around.
You need it. I'm always. That's what they say. It's always others, not me.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm a good man.
For example, if you're showing me a resistance of any kind, is that because once upon a time I showed you? Is that what's coming back to me?
Well, your resistance is self-made and my resistance is self-made. But when it comes into communication with each other, it's called a karmic account.
Yes.
Yeah. So yours was self-built and mine was self-built. So it actually happened in our own inner factory.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, when you wanted something and I wanted something, maybe we wanted the same thing, and there was a way that you saw that it should be done, and you were quite controlling with it, I was quite controlling with it, and we hit each other's, with this force of negativity, and it came into word, came into deed. So therefore you're going to come back to me at a later date with the account, and I'm going to come back to you with a later date, and surprisingly we meet up together.
And how would I resolve this if I don't want that to come in future?
Well, if you work to mould yourself with the opposite of what you're feeling, so if you're feeling a kind of animosity or an aggression, then whatever you're lacking, because what you're displaying is a negative thing, and what I'm displaying is a negative thing, because I'm not going to change. It's your job to change. I'm trying to control you, because I've tried that before, and you've tried that before, so we're coming back to lock horns, basically. And the way you're going to deal with it is that what you're going to be giving yourself in different scenarios is whatever the mind needs, because it's the mind that's injured. It's the mind that's got the wounds. So if you They call it your inner child. So if you give a lot more kindness to your own mind, exactly what you would say to a friend, basically, who you care for. When you meet someone with resistance, we don't care for them, do we? We don't even like them. We don't even want them in the same room as us, you know. So you can't actually give them to that because it would be a lie. You'd be actually, oh God, how long will I have to keep giving love to this person when this person's so annoying and they're so controlling, they say the most horrible things and I've got to keep loving them. You don't. You have to love your own mind because that's where the wound is. Whatever you feel like you don't want to give them, give to your own mind. That's easy, isn't it? Anyone can do that because everyone's got a mind and everyone's got love. So. The worst of it is when you think as a mind, where you think I'm wounded, I'm hurt, I'm unloved, then you've lost your contact with love, haven't you? You've lost your power, basically. And that's a trick of the light, really, because you're an actual separate identity to the one that thinks, the thoughts that come. You don't so much have those thoughts as those thoughts happen to you. So they just emerge, don't they, as your identity, but they're not your identity. That one that's hurt inside is making those thoughts happen to you. Would you like to say something, Mark?
Not this moment.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. Anything else of the actor rather than the reactor? What a typical day would look like as an actor?
I would say take it as it comes. Be in, remembrance of Baba and
Yes.
keep him in charge.
Can you explain more about, if I'm an actor, what is my script, my actual original script?
Your original script, there's not so many thoughts in it because thoughts have taken the place of feelings. So just like in the dictionary, to describe a particular word, they make another. To describe a feeling, they make up a new word, don't they? Well, the original state is that it's just you've got love, you've got peace, you've got power, you've got purity, you've got truth. That's your original being, if you like, and that's revealing feelings as you play your role.
So if I remember my original script and if I stick to that script,
there'd be no more holidays because you're on holiday.
Yes, if I stick to the original script, I don't bring the changes, I don't manipulate the script.
Yes, yeah.
If I just focus on my original script, which is that, then I just
If you can stop thinking and be a feeling being, and not, when someone says something, for example, they say, which is a matter of fact, 5,000 people died in the world today, 10,000 people died in, this situation is happening. And if I don't blow all my energy up into a negative situation, so that's the news that's coming, and then, like a person said this negative thing, and I want to work out their motive. So I blow it up with my foot pump.
Blow out of proportion.
Blow it out. We say that, don't we? Yes. We even use that word.
Yes.
Don't blow it out of proportion.
Yes.
And every actor on the world stage is reacting in that way to blowing something up out of proportion. Even the need to do something. I need to do this and I need to do it now. I'm already under the influence of an impatient mindset. And when I act on that, I'm creating more of an impatient way of living with everything. And then that will be taken out on others, won't it? If people get in my way. You look at people when they're fast moving, they want to get to a certain place and they've already arrived there in their mind. And then they get a traffic jam, they get someone that stops them along the way and they just might ask directions and they just turn around and say, I don't know, mate, look at a map. Look at a map, Google it.
You got a smartphone?
Yeah.
I don't know how to pray.
And there's like this sarcasm, isn't there, that goes on, is it?
I think if I follow my original script, which is peace, love, and
Yeah. But it has to be as a feeling. So I've got to be a more feeling being than a thoughtful. Because people give too much to this be thoughtful and don't be thoughtless and that kind of thing. A lot of people are thoughtless with no bad feeling towards anyone. A lot of the people are labelled selfish, and they're not selfish, they're thoughtless.
Because I think if you have less thoughts, your senses are more in control.
Very, very much, yeah. Because
I remember someone said that the Maya, the illusion, is the distortion of your senses.
Yeah.
That's really amazed me.
Very,
the distortion
very good.
of your senses.
Yes.
So you bring the harmony.
Yeah, the illusion that's going on, and you're actually seeing the illusion for what it is that there's no problem on the earth. It's just human emotions charged into a particular belief of a particular thing.
And every actor is struggling like me as well. That could be the.
Yeah.
I think that could work towards my own kindness as well, isn't it?
Yeah. But don't struggle. Because you only struggle with your thoughts, really, don't you? And then when you struggle with thoughts and you can't actually, I mean, what resolution would you be looking for if you're struggling with your thoughts? Because it's not a situation, it's the thoughts of a situation that I'm struggling. So is it better to struggle with it, or is it better to just watch it?
Watch it.
Because I've got a choice. I can dance with it, can't I? I can say, I don't want to dance.
And I can watch it with this thought that, it's not in my script to react.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
We do that, isn't it? When we don't get something, we say, I wasn't meant to get it.
Exactly,
Yes.
So, I mean, if you think of what you've got to do, but not in the sense of what you're going to do, but what you're going to display, what you're going to show.
So I have to be a hero rather than just the ordinary actor on the stage, isn't it? So my
because the actors are many, aren't they? But the hero actors are very few. Sometimes only one in a film.
Outstanding actor.
Yes, so your behavior, your attitude should be like hero.
And the interesting thing that intrigues me about a film is that they've got the film over their eyes. That's where the film is. Because that's the filter that they see things through.
Exactly.
You know, one person will say, this is a terrible problem that's going on, and they'll just go off to another person and say, isn't it terrible what's going on? And they both got all the same film over, so they're all watching the same film. Whereas the hero actor, well, obviously he was watching a different film, or watching without a film.
Yeah.
Yes. Or maybe he constantly remember himself that I'm hero, so I shouldn't be reacting as they're reacting towards me.
Yeah, let me act differently to the way others are acting. When I see an example in front of me of how people are acting, and it's not a good example, then why would I show that sample to others? Because it's a sample of the example that I'm going to show, isn't it? So why to show the same thing if they don't agree with it? You know, a person's arrogance and their anger with dealing with situations, and I don't like the way what I see, you know, I should not like what I see the way I'm doing that, and have a lot of I like that, a distaste against and anger against your anger, you know, so you chase it out, you know, and distaste for my ego, so that I chase it out.
I think the moral is that as an actor, you don't have to act in every situation.
No.
You can just be an actor rather than performing all the time. You don't have to perform all the time, do you?
No, but also congratulate yourself as well. You don't have to perform all the time. You can take a rest from it, and that's the key actually, because you should actually be playing the role in namesake, being a hero actor, because it's only a costume you're wearing for a temporary period of time. It's only a mask that we've got on for that particular period of time, and I want to be the same in front of everyone, not just some for the boys and some for the girls and some for the mum and dad and some for the college and some for work. Not a different face each time. I want one mask.
Yeah.
And so
because we get tired changing the mask.
Yeah, it's hard work. It's hard work.
You don't have to fight every battle comes your way.
Yeah.
No. And we won't need so much anti-wrinkle cream either
You don't.
for our mask.
You need is a bit of olive oil.
A little bit of olive oil is fine.
That's it. A bit of butter maybe on warm hands.
I think that's great. I think that's a good tool to be stable on the world stage, isn't it?
Yes.
Being an actor.
Yeah. I don't have to be the type of actor that has to get more to feel secure and comfortable. What I've got is what I need, and if I need anything else, if I'm stable, then I'm not running after it in my mind. That's what I mean, because that's a reactor. So there's the reactor in the sense people normally take it as showing anger to others, but there's a way we react to certain thoughts of need. We call it need, but in actual fact, if it's not here now and it's arrived before, there's a good chance that if I'm more of myself and not caught up in what I need, because I was caught up in what I need before and it still arrived. So
I think the faith as well, isn't it? Like if you're an actor, you know that whatever things or whatever you need will be provided by the producer or the director on the stage, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think that
he's got his finger on the button.
Isn't it?
He's got his finger on the button. Have more faith that everything's going to be all right and everything's going to come along. And that's powerful, that alone. And then as soon as someone says anything of doubt, inside they know, because they might not take it too well when I say you shouldn't be having thoughts like this, you're being negative, because I'm being forceful and negative as well. But if I just know I'm not going down that line, I'm going to believe if it's come along and I'm in this state of 60,000 thoughts a day that people have, 60,000, and so many of those thoughts tell a story as well, because they create them into a story, and that builds up a lot of resistance. And look, it's still, food has still come, shelter's still come, we're still okay. So if I improve that even more, then it must at least it must stay the same, at least.
Yes. So the God who is the director of this world drama will be, I think, guiding us, isn't it?
It would be, because it's a very pure way of living. And if you've got a pure way of living where you're not actually hurting anyone with your vibrations, because you're changing your vibrations, then God will always support. That's also a like attracts like. Why don't people get the help that they think they should get? Because there's so much resistance going on to what they should get, and what what others are getting and what they're not getting, and no one's in an appreciation that these things have already come, and this is with the state that I've been in as well. So if I change that, things can only get better, or at least stay the same, and we're okay, aren't we? We're not sort of starving to death or out on the roads, are we?
No.
We've not got people that are abusing us every day, like in the torture camps that go on and that kind of thing. So the actual grass that's under your feet is very green, because it gives me a chance to exercise what I need to exercise on the world stage. And that's virtues, basically. That's virtues. Don't listen to hearsay. Don't blow anything out of proportion. Someone says something about someone else. They're only words, aren't they? It's what you make of it. If you make something of that, it's like a piece of paper, isn't it? It can be made into a paper plane that can fly. Or you could sort of, like we did at school, chew it up and throw it at the blackboard. Use it as a as a way of insulting someone, or you can make a nice paper plane out of it. It's all what you make out of it. And if you make it because someone else has made it, then I'm really eating what they've eaten. And who wants to eat food that someone else has eaten? You're just changing your consciousness. And every moment of every day is a way to change your... I mean, you don't have to go to a retreat centre. Every action that you can perform can be done with a virtue, in a virtuous state. Doesn't matter what you do, does it really? If my virtue can be exercised because that's where people, they always want to do something else, don't they? They get fed up with doing that. And why do they get fed up with doing the same thing? Is because they relate to what they do as who they are. They're two separate things, aren't they? If you're who you are, it doesn't matter what you do. If you're not who you are, it will matter what you do. And you could repeat the same thing 100 times, 1,000 times, as long as you're actually processing who you are, not what you do. And people say that, don't they? What do you want to do with your life? And then they ask what you do for a living. They say, well, you want to carry on doing that for the rest of your life? And they can't see that this person who's repetitively filling these boxes every single day, thousands of them a day, putting the stuff in boxes and put them over on one side, is as happy as Larry, whoever Larry is. I don't know. I haven't met Larry, happy Larry. But happy as Larry. And there's another person who's in an office, who's, a multi-million-pound businessman who's dealing with heavy-duty stocks and shares, and lives are at stake, pensions are at stake, got all the weight of the world, but gets 100,000 times more an hour than that person who's on the assembly line, and yet they're happier. And some of them have come from a foreign country, and they're kind of getting them that amount of money, and they feel, well, I've got food. That's all that matters to them, isn't it? And that other person that's living in the world of more is not a happy Larry. So should we do a meditation to finish off with? Because it's been enough, hasn't it? So take yourself away from this world and imagine yourself in a home of light, in a realm of silence, far away from your role, your body, your physical home, your wealth and possessions. And you are completely naked as a tiny being of infinitesimal, conscient energy, a powerful form, a powerful energy, because you've broken away from all that you own down on earth. And down on earth, where your body, your material possessions, the relationships of your body, your home and your wealth has no importance to who you are right now, because you are the source of power, the source of energy, floating, residing in a world of subtle, beautiful light. And you are going to incarnate from this world of non-physical as a visitor, as an actor on the world stage, requested by God to play your role in a divine way, without ownership, without the I and my of the physical body. And you sit in the body that has been chosen to you, like an incarnation of divinity coming from the world beyond to the world below to play your role and share peace and light and power with everyone. You are not controlled by anyone, by anything, or even by your own thoughts. You are free. Om Shanti.